Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Hope you guys had a great Wednesday. We have some juicy Warde Manuel, Jim Harbaugh stuff. Jim Harbaugh has been writing a book with Armin Katayan, so we're going to get into that. And it proves a lot of the stuff that we've been nailing is going to get nailed. So we're going to take a little victory lap. Got our sprinting shoes on, ready to go for a little jog with that. So big stuff. Really excited about it. Again, we had this thing nailed, so we're going to break down what's coming out in Jim Harbaugh's book, and it is not good for Warde Manuel. A lot of the regents and major donors want him out. This book is not going to do him any favors, especially when you lose one of the top 5 coaches in college football to the NFL. We're going to get into all of that. As always, we appreciate you guys. This will be a huge show because you guys make it one. Again, it's always fun when Michigan is in turmoil to talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about Ohio State recruiting, wherever the coach has been at. Players are getting back to workouts. They've been getting after it the last couple of weeks. So we're going to have an update coming pretty quick here on BuckeyeScoop.com about who has been shining in workouts. So again, we appreciate you guys. As always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys so much for patronizing this channel, for taking care of this channel, for paying it forward via the super chats. Again, we've signed up a ton of veterans and first responders. Again, I think it's absolutely fantastic. And again, I appreciate you guys so very much for this community, for all you guys do for each other, for all of the interconnectivity that exists with this group. You guys know who you are. You guys get together offline. You guys are really getting tight. So I really appreciate what this community has done for us, for you, for the whole Scoop family. Again, we appreciate that. We don't take that for granted, and we go every night at 7 so that we can get together and kick it for an hour and see what's going on. So as always, thank you for all that you guys do, and thank you guys for being in here each and every night. It's huge. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with in the YouTube comments. Again, we appreciate you guys. That being said, Nevada, Jim Harbaugh's been writing a pretty explosive book. This is something that's pretty standard. When a team wins a national championship, there's usually someone that gets selected. Urban Meyer did a book the year after they won the national championship. There's some, a lot of interesting details, intimate stuff. This book does not look very fondly on Warde Manuel, and it reveals a lot of what we've been saying about Jim Harbaugh and Warde Manuel. When the Michigan media beat was as bad of a coverage as I've ever seen, and we are around a terrible one at Ohio State, but the Michigan people actually lapped them in their futility. They were impossibly bad through November, December, when we were knocking it out of the park. And this book confirms a lot of what we were saying. Nevada, any level of surprise as to what is coming out in Jim Harbaugh's new book?
Well, I want to clarify. Jim Harbaugh is a chapter in the book by Chalty and Armin Katayan, but it's not. It's a book on a broader subject in college football called The Price. But he's definitely a contributor. So in the Jim Harbaugh section of the book, yeah, he is definitely putting Warde Manuel on blast. He's putting the Michigan administration on blast. And if you remember, back when this whole thing started breaking, we came to you guys and said, look, I know you're hearing all this public pronouncements of support for Harbaugh. And remember the words, we called it kabuki theater. We said it's all kabuki theater. Warde Manuel, the board of trustees, the guys, they want Harbaugh out. And oh man, did we get pushback? Oh no, Nevada, you're so wrong. This isn't true. This can't be true. They're supporting them. They're putting out tweets that say bet on it, and they all love him, and they're going to sign him to an extension. And we're like, guys, it's just not true. We know what's going on. It's just not true. So lo and behold, this book comes out, and Jim Harbaugh's in there, and Jim Harbaugh doesn't take any responsibility for what went down, but he blames 2 people for his demise. He blames Warde Manuel for not standing behind him, for not supporting him, for not going to the ends of the earth for the board of trustees for him, just like we told you. And the second one he blames, which is really great, is he blames Tony Petitti, because he claims that Tony Petitti had a meeting with him, or a meeting scheduled to go over all these things, and then he stood him up and didn't show up to the meeting, and then Jim got his feelings hurt, and that's when he decided to go to the Chargers. So in Harbaugh's story, he's the aggrieved party, he's the victim. Warde Manuel's a big meanie. Tony Petitti's another big meanie. Everybody did stuff wrong except for Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh didn't mean to leave. He didn't want to leave. He didn't mean to gut the staff. He didn't mean to leave the program a flaming hulk, but he had to because Warde Manuel was not supporting him. So just such a delicious book. And I love it when stuff like this comes out and it confirms everything we say, because today was also a day where the Michigan beat some of the stupidest guys. And I'm going to call them out. Just Blue Sam Webb. You're a moron. You're so dumb. And you come out today going, I don't believe that these sanctions are going to amount to anything. It's going to be just similar to what happened with Cheeseburger Gate. And it's like, how can you keep selling Michigan fans? How do you keep buying this stuff from these people when they've been so wrong about everything? They've been so wrong about everything. They told you that Jim Harbaugh was flying back to sign the contract. They told you that Jim Harbaugh, they were going to challenge the injunction. They were going to get an injunction and he'd be coaching. And this, everything that they've said has been wrong. And so now it goes back to the original thought that Warde Manuel, the Board of Trustees, was not standing behind Harbaugh. They were not supporting him. They were not actively soliciting to take an extension. They wanted to make him the fall guy. And what comes out in this book? Exactly that. Exactly what we told you. And I'm not trying to take a big victory lap, but I'm going to take one on this one because we took so much garbage from Michigan fans on that. Oh, you're wrong, Nevada. You don't know. The Michigan guys are behind him. Nah, they were never behind him. They wanted him to go. They'd given him a 50% pay cut at one point in time. They wanted him out. They dealt with him because they were afraid to deal with the Michigan crazies, and the fan base is dominated by lunatics. And they knew that he appealed to the least common denominator in the Michigan fan base, which is bad. When I'm talking about the least common denominator in the Michigan fan base, you're talking the worst of the worst. And Jim Harbaugh is the king of those guys. And so they couldn't appear to be cutting him off at the knees. They wanted to try to show public support while publicly they were stabbing him in the back. This book comes out, and that's exactly what was happening. So Nevada and Kirk won. Michigan Crazies 0. So say more like 100. Michigan Crazies 0. But yeah, just a delicious book. A little glimpse inside the Michigan men's, and the way that they operate. And it's just as the way that you thought it was going to be. It was just that horrible.
Yeah, I'm just surprised. One of the last quote in the excerpt. There's an excerpt if you guys want to read the little piece of it on CBSSports.com. His last line of the excerpt is, "I'm just trying to be happy," and that's what Jim Harbaugh told former Michigan AD Jim Hackett, who's the guy who actually hired him before Warde Manuel succeeded him. Like, imagine how miserable the infrastructure around you has to be for you to be. He's a guy that played for Bo Schembechler. He's a Michigan guy through and through. He wants people to, like he said at my funeral, I hope people remember me as a Michigan man. And he's the head coach. He goes undefeated. He's beat Ohio State 3 straight times. Wins a national title. And he's so miserable at his alma mater that he has to leave. I mean, that's how bad it was between him and Warde Manuel. And that's why, when they had the victory celebration in the arena, and Warde Manuel's like pointing at him saying, "I'm going to get him signed to an extension." And Jim Harbaugh's like, "Yeah." I was just like, that was as cringe as I think I've ever seen between an athletic director and a head coach, because Jim Harbaugh hates Warde Manuel. I mean, it couldn't be more clear. I mean, he's had an extension on his desk for a year, never signed it, went off to LA. And again, he's sly like a fox. Like Jim Harbaugh, he likes to play dumb and, I didn't know anything was going on. And, we're just trying to get better every day. And, we're just trying to work hard and get better every day, and offensive line. And we're going to get better every day. And he's a different cat, and we know that he's strange, but he knew exactly what was going on. I mean, come on, this guy, he had a lot of pressure up against him. Urban dog walked him 5 straight years. Ryan Day got him in 19, 20. They got out of it. They would have got smoked again in 20. And then they figured out a way to cheat and turn the tides. And again, it was as startling of a thing as I've ever seen, because they weren't it was the same players, and magically they were way better. And short of performance enhancing drugs, I don't think that's what it was. I think this literally they were just cheating the whole time. So I loved this little excerpt. again, it's amazing how I think Jim Harbaugh is going to get this place nuked because again, like I've said it a million times, like if you've got something like this up against you, the best thing to do is beg for mercy, cooperate, let the NCAA in, and then just take your Singapore caning that you're going to get. But Jim Harbaugh is like the opposite. He is just like, I'm going to drive away. I'm gonna go as far away from Ann Arbor as I possibly can. I mean, if there was an NFL team in Anchorage, Alaska, he'd probably move there instead. But he's in LA. Nobody cares about him out there. It's the exact opposite of being at Michigan, where he's the center of the universe. And I just think that this is gonna end very poorly for Michigan because again, when you flaunt it in front of the NCAA, it never ends well. I'm telling you. I mean, we see these decisions where Arizona State was exemplary and they opened the doors up. They let everybody come in. They let everybody analyze everything, go through phone records, hand everything over. And that's the opposite of Michigan. Michigan, Connor Stalions, Jim Harbaugh, the kind of the whole middle finger thing. And that is going to get these guys smashed. And again, people can keep saying that, but, Nevada's been saying, hey, who wants to bet? We're ready to take the bets. Like, this is going to be severe stuff. And Jim Harbaugh, like when we talked about yesterday, could be facing a lifetime show cause because it's that bad. I mean, cheating, U.S. integrity, the gambling aspect. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this thing, and it's going to be explosive when it drops. I know that we might be the last people saying that, but it's because we've got better sources than everybody else on this. And again, I can't believe a team that went 15-0 would lose every single coach except for Sherrone Moore. I mean, that's never happened in the history of football. But those guys know what's coming. And those guys took lateral moves. They went to the NFL. They didn't all become coordinators. They took D-line to D-line, offensive coordinator, whatever. So yeah, it's gonna be exquisite. I'm very excited about it. Nevada, what's Warde Manuel's path forward? Because I mean, everything I see between basketball, the hockey thing that hasn't broken yet, the football team, it screams lack of institutional control. I have no idea how he's still employed. And again, when the athletic thing came out and you saw the people just, leaking stuff to these reporters, like that screams that money people want him gone. Because I think that there's a big sect of Michigan people that hate Warde Manuel because they feel like he's the reason why Jim Harbaugh is no longer the head coach at Michigan. But what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think you absolutely nailed it. Look, this is a script. It already follows the script. Harbaugh cheats. Harbaugh then pretends that he wants to stay, that this is some agonized decision. Warde Manuel plays along and, oh, we want you to stay so badly. And then sadly, Jim Harbaugh leaves. Now Jim Harbaugh's left. Jim Harbaugh now dumps all over Warde Manuel, blames him for everything. Warde Manuel's going to be the one that's going to hang from this at Michigan. He's going to get fired. He'll be kind of the sacrificial lamb that they're going to present before the NCAA because Harbaugh's gone. So they'll say, well, we realized that our athletic department was out of control and we're facing a lack of institutional control penalty. So we're going to go out and we're going to fire our AD. He'll have lost there, and then they'll bring it in and they'll try to mitigate the damage the best as possible. But Warde Manuel is absolutely a dead man walking. We've been saying that this whole path has been so predictable. And again, believe it or not, but go back and look what we've been saying about this since day one. It's very rare when you have something like completely nailed, but this one, man, we had completely nailed in terms of what was going on publicly, what was going on behind the scenes. And Warde Manuel's the next to go. And this was an opening salvo. This was Jim Harbaugh, kind of throwing, gasoline on him on the way out there because, he wants to nuke him. I mean, he wants to nuke him. He already did that to the entire program. He took every staff member that was worth his salt. He took, and, he's going to destroy the program on the way out because that's just the way that Harbaugh operates. And for Michigan, this has been the worst offseason that you could possibly have. Recruiting's in the toilet. The portal, they've got nothing. They've got no NIL action. They've got no momentum. And this year, they're going to have their little last glimpse because they've got a handful of good players. And after that, it's going to be all downhill from here. And then you get the NCAA tsunami that hits on top of that. But today, like I said, I just it was as soon as I read this, I'm like, does is this surprising to anyone? Is this surprising to anyone? Because Ward Manuel, man, he had told so many people that how much he hated Harbaugh and how he thought that he was bad for the program, how he wanted him out. And as you'd point out a million times, he gave him a 50% pay cut. So there was no way those two were going to coexist going forward. There's no way that, so Harbaugh got out of town, but his parting gift to Ward Manuel is going to be getting Ward Manuel fired. Mark it down. It's gonna happen. Not a question of if, just a question of when. And I like I said, I love watching the Michigan program implode because, as you said, there's so many pro. I mean, Ward Manuel's the same guy that kept Juwan Howard around as coach, despite him assaulting multiple people, running a rogue program, covering up what was going on in the ice hockey program, covering up credible allegations of assault and other misdeeds. The Matt Weiss scenario that hasn't really even come out yet in terms of all the sex crimes against minors, the practice footage, the gambling cookies. I mean, this story is going to be being told for years to come. So it's not going to be over anytime soon, Michigan fans. And if you're thinking just because you haven't heard about it, maybe it's gone. No, guys, it's just it is top of the first inning, and this thing is just getting warmed up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with when you're at a public university, is your salary is public domain. So you work at Ohio State, there's a database. You can type in any employee. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a football coach. You could be a hospital worker or janitor. If you work for a public university, your salary is public record and the public can search it. So, when Ward Manuel decided to cut his salary in half, again, you can do that when he's not a hot commodity and he's been fledgling a little bit, but he's never going to forget that. I mean, the amount of humiliation that goes with saying, "Hey, in a profession where the salaries are obscenely high, it's a profession filled with overpaid gym teachers essentially, and these guys literally are making a fortune, which is great. I mean, God bless them, they're doing it. It's a tough job, but when everyone else is getting huge raises, then you make a guy like Jim Harbaugh who doesn't need to work. He's a guy who played in the NFL for a long time, coached in the NFL for a long time. You give him a 50% pay cut at his alma mater. I don't think you can ever repair a relationship once you do that to somebody. Because again, going from say 8 million to 4, I don't know what the exact numbers, it was 10 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 6 to 3 or whatever it was. Like in the grand scheme of things for Michigan athletics, like $4 million is nothing. It's literally absolutely nothing. So, to take that money and just, keep it is something that I don't think that you could ever get back. And Ward, he knew that. And I think that he still gave him the middle finger. Like I couldn't imagine like Gene Smith coming to Urban Meyer and telling him he's taking a 50% pay cut. Like he'd be gone. Like Urban would now obviously Urban he never hit the skids the way Jim Harbaugh did, in college football. But you're never coming back from that. I mean, I've sat in staff rooms. Those guys got families. Those guys got kids. Those guys got options. And as soon as Jim Harbaugh got an option, he got an option. And he's making 20 a year now with the LA Chargers. So I just think that in any given profession, I mean, all of you have worked or are retired or whatever. If your boss came to you and said, "Hey, I'm making you work for 50%," sorry, I don't like you anymore. Like, I don't know how you come back from that, but this is my opinion. We've got a bunch of super chats. Nevada, anything else on this topic? Because I think that this is going to be really interesting for Ward. Because again, it gives more ammunition to the Ward haters. Because when you're the athletic director at any institution that's of any significance, like Ohio State or Michigan, you're going to have plenty of people that hate you. There are going to be plenty of people that say they want your guy. Like, I mean, our guy now who is taking Gene's spot, he's got plenty of detractors already because we didn't hire one of Gene's boys. We didn't hire Martin Jarman or Pat Chun. I think that this guy is going to be a breath of fresh air. I think he's going to do a good job. But this is part of the territory. But do you have anything else to add to this before we move on to some super chats?
Yeah, no, you're going to see stories coming out. It's going to be death by 10,000 cuts for Ward Manuel. This is the opening salvo by Harbaugh, but you're going to see everybody taking their shots at him now because it's kind of like in the wild when you've got the wounded animal and everybody's just kind of going around taking a bite. That's what's happening with Warde Manuel right now. This, like I said, this Harbaugh thing, this very public, talking about what we've already known, that Warde Manuel was not supporting him and he didn't feel like that. And for him to come out and blame him for leaving, that is just going to activate a segment of the Michigan fan base that cannot be turned off. And but expect, as a fan, as an educated fan, as a smart fan, because you listen to this show, start looking for all these stories to start coming out about Warde Manuel and things that he did wrong or things that that happened under his watch. That's what's going to happen next. That's how this story unfolds, and then ultimately Warde Manuel gets fired, and then you say, hey, I saw it coming all the time.
Honestly, what it reminds me of the most is it reminds me of Michael Drake and Urban Meyer. Like when Urban had the issue with Zach and had to let Zach go, and they go through that board of trustees thing all day, and they give Urban the Singapore caning, and then they have that public press conference. Like it was never right after that, and I feel like that's what it's like with Harbaugh and Warde. And Harbaugh, again, when I think, and again, I don't know if he's playing 4D chess or not, but when I really think about it, him leaving, him not cooperating, him, taking the money and running, that leaves a giant flaming pile of like nuclear waste for Warde Manuel to deal with. Because Jim Harbaugh doesn't care. Like he's not going to be back in Michigan ever again. But Warde Manuel, that's still his house. And it's like, Jim Harbaugh lit the house on fire. And then he called an Uber and he went, hey, give me an Uber to Los Angeles. But, I think that, when you have that active kind of, that segment of the fan base that is, that is fanatical, and, you want to set the crosshairs, you want to set the Death Star laser on a target, this is a great way to do it. Like I'm telling you, I mean, in this book, I mean, when Jim Harbaugh's saying this stuff and this stuff's getting leaked, said to Armin Katayan, like it's all a very measured and pointed thing. Because like I said, Jim Harbaugh, he might act dumb. He might drink milk with steak and wear khakis every day and be a really weird human being. But he's sly like a fox. He knows exactly what he's doing. So again, he's going to activate that segment. And again, I remember, everybody hated Michael Drake after the Urban thing. And then Urban, retires, he's kind of whatever. Like Michael Drake never recovered. People wanted him gone. And I think that's going to be the same fate as Warde Manuel. So, again, I think it's just a hilarious dose of revenge by Jim Harbaugh on Warde Manuel that this book's coming out, and it's just going to reignite all of the hatred towards Warde. Again, so again, sometimes revenge is a dish best served cold, and Jim Harbaugh got the ultimate revenge. He went 15-0, won the big ring, and then left, and then he's going to leave. Like he's leaving the building that's about to get struck by the nuclear strike, and he's not going to have to deal with it. And Warde Manuel gets to deal with it, and he's going to get with lack of institutional control. He's going to have to that program's going to be set back into the Stone Age, and it's going to be glorious. And again, and Jim Harbaugh, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to feel bad about it because to a degree, like let's just get really real quick, Nevada. Do you think Jim Harbaugh has successor syndrome? Because we talk about that all the time, where it's like every coach, when they leave somebody, they don't want the place to fall, off a cliff, but they also don't want it to do better than it was when they were there. And again, we've talked about that with Urban and Ryan Day. And again, maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't think I am. But when a coach leaves somewhere, do they really want it to be marketably better? And again, Urban's never said anything like this. This is just me, tea leaves, and whatever. But like with Jim Harbaugh, does he really want Sherrone Moore to take that thing to the next level, or does he want it to fall off after he leaves? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, look, he absolutely wants it to fall off because that is just what people do. That's just human nature. But the good news is it does. Harbaugh, his wants, needs, desires, dreams have nothing to do with it. Michigan's going to fall off regardless. Even if he was the biggest Sherrone Moore cheerleader in the world, there's nothing they're going to do to stop that team falling out. It was the perfect storm that they caught last year that enabled them to win their national championship, with the asterisk and everything else that's going to come along with it. But it's the high watermark, and it's only going to get worse from there. And I think Harbaugh quietly, no matter what he says publicly, is going to enjoy every minute of watching Michigan struggle. And like you said, nobody wants the person that succeeds them to do better than they did. That's not the way that it works. And for Harbaugh, he's going to watch Sherrone Moore go 9-3, 7-5, 6-7, and then get fired and get money, and he'll rest his head in the pillow knowing that Sherrone Moore got paid more money to take the bullet on this than he was ever made in his life times 100. So hey, let's all cry for Sherrone Moore, who's going to make tens of millions of dollars to be the sacrificial lamb. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh will not lose a wink of sleep over that.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll dig into some super chats now. Larry Daniels, 1, and thank you for being an Ultra member. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the 5. Thanks, Force, the Woody icon. Is it possible Warde is? I think it's thanks for the Woody icon. Yeah. So every month that you are a Scoop Ultra member, you get an upgraded icon. So there's a Woody Hayes icon. I keep adding new badges to it. So the longer you guys go, the more badges I have to make. So I appreciate you guys doing that. It is kind of cool to have like something different next to your name. And if you guys have any thoughts on other icons that you guys would like, toss them on there. But I think I've got Woody, I've got Archie, I've got the helmet stripe. But yeah, I'm going to do it like the longer you guys go, the more cool icons you guys are going to get. So it's going to be sweet. Is it possible Warde is trying to hold Harbaugh accountable behind the scenes, and that's why Jimmy is ticked? I don't think so. Now, I know Jim Harbaugh's the kind of guy, he's not an easy guy to wrangle. But I don't know. Like, something that would be interesting is, Nevada, how much do you think Warde Manuel knew about the Connor Stein's cheating stuff? Because that's something that here's the thing. I don't think an athletic director would be hip to that, just because, in general, like, when I worked in the Woody, like, we'd see Gene on Sunday for maybe 30 minutes. He'd stop in and watch film for 30 minutes, and then he'd leave, and we'd all say hi and bye. But he's not in there, and he's not like at practice. I mean, he might come to practice once a month or something. But these guys got 30 other sports to deal with, and all kinds of other trash and fundraising they have to deal with. So I don't know. I don't know if he's trying. That's a great question, Nevada. Yes, is it possible that Warde Manuel is trying to hold Jim Harbaugh accountable behind the scenes, and that's why Jimmy is ticked?
Well, I'll put a little different spin on it. Warde Manuel is absolutely trying to hold Jim Harbaugh accountable with the NCAA now. In other words, Jim throw Jimmy under the bus and try to blame him for everything. Do I think Warde Manuel knew about this? I don't. I don't think Warde Manuel knew about this. No. Do I think Jim Harbaugh knew about this? 1,000,000,000%. He was the orchestrator of this entire thing. And again, regardless whether he knew or not, it's his responsibility. This is just me ruminating on the thing. But as for responsibility, Jim Harbaugh is going to be made public enemy number 1 by Warde Manuel. That's the next plan in his playbook. Everything that happens with the NCAA is going to be blamed on Jim Harbaugh. And then they're going to try to go him, but he's not here. So don't blame the innocents because he's not here. So blame him, punish him, but don't blame us because we didn't have anything to do with it. I don't believe that argument holds any water with the NCAA, but it's all they have. So you have to play that card. And so now we're talking about legacy. So for Jim Harbaugh knows that Warde Manuel's goal is to destroy his legacy. And how does he do that? By blaming him for all this, by blaming it with the Michigan fans, by blaming it with the NCAA. And when the big show cause comes out, whatever it is, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, or worse, it's going to make Jim Harbaugh look terrible. And people think he doesn't care about his legacy. Man, you're wrong. Because it's not about money, man. I'm telling you, once you make money, once you make money, it's no longer about money. If you don't have money, that first $1 million, that's like everything. And if you just have that, then it really does matter. But once you've got 50 million in the bank or whatever it is, it's not about money for Harbaugh. It's about competition. It's about his name. It's about his reputation. It's about his legacy. And if he's known as the guy that destroyed Michigan football, and that's what Warde Manuel wants him to be, that's not good for him.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic point by you. Where I remember I was watching a special on him after they won it, and it was it was him, his brother, and his dad. His dad won a 1AA championship at Western Kentucky. His brother, obviously, Super Bowl winner with the Ravens, and Jim never won the big ring at any level until this past year. So he literally was like joking, like, now I can sit at the adult table now that I have a championship. So again, but still, like, a national championship is great, but a Super Bowl supersedes that. So I think he wanted to go back. So again, you're dead right. I mean, this guy doesn't care about anything except for legacy. I mean, he's living in an RV in Los Angeles at an RV whatever lot. So I mean, clearly he's not. Well, I'm going out there to jet set and eat at Nobu and go to Towel and do whatever, like go to the Sunset Room or whatever. He's literally living in an RV trying to chase the Super Bowl. He went to a good young team that's got great young players, and he's drafted well, and he signed good free agents. So yeah, I think that you're 1,000,000% on the legacy thing. So it's going to be interesting because when these guys get smoked, like, that's going to be a gigantic black eye on his legacy. And me and you were talking like offline last night. It's like, what's he going to be remembered for? I mean, we talked about like Pete Rose. Like, what's Pete Rose remembered for? The 4,000 hits or the fact that he's banned for life from baseball? It's like, well, there's a reason why he's not in Cooperstown, and there's a reason why, like, when people bring him up, the first thing they talk about is gambling. They don't talk about, the hits and the hustle and knocking the dude out at the All-Star game. And with Jim Harbaugh, like, are they going to talk about him winning a national title? Are they going to talk about, they cheated and they got Michigan blown back to the Stone Age? I mean, that's where I'm going to be at. Because again, you got to remember, what's the legacy? When people can say whatever they want about Urban Meyer with the Jacksonville thing, but he left Ohio State in fantastic shape, and he resurrected it from a 6-7 season to, bringing it into the future, which, again, we were kind of stuck in mud just because, and Jim Trestle was a fantastic coach. For the money, Jim Trestle is the greatest coach who's ever lived in the history of college football. Because, I mean, for what we had and whatever versus what Urban Meyer demanded and upgraded to. Because, again, like, Urban came from the SEC where they spend money like it's going out of style. We were spendthrifts at Ohio State. And so, what Ryan took over, thanks to Urban, was a much different operation from a personnel standpoint. Just the every little trinket that you could ever dream of in the Woody Hayes, it's all because of Urban. So again, I think that that's the legacy. And again, Urban, he didn't gut the staff either. That's the thing that would really tick me off if I was a Michigan fan is Urban took, or Jim Harbaugh took everybody from your staff. He didn't care about, he don't care about Michigan no more. He's trying to win in Los Angeles, excuse me. So that's something that's always interesting when people talk about Harbaugh. And I'm like, dude, like, he literally took everything from your program and he said he put you back at square one. And he left Sherrone Moore with basically Sherrone Moore. Sean Schrock, thank you for the 5. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Happy birthday to Mello, my brother from another mother. Happy birthday, Mello. I hope you are having a great day. Mello is on here every night. We appreciate you, my man. He's a member of the Scoop 18 or 25 or whatever the text thing's at now. It's a big text thing. So I appreciate you guys keeping my phone battery on E each and every day. Nevada, our boy Mello, it's his birthday. Would you like to wish him a happy birthday?
I would. It's a happy birthday. It's I would ask the number, but I think at a certain, it's like a gentleman doesn't ask a woman his age. I think it's like when we get to our age, we don't ask for numbers either. So I'm just gonna assume it's 29 or something like that, or maybe even lower. Maybe we've got a young Mello.
Young Mello. Appreciate you, Mello, as always. Stephen Luter, thank you for the 5. Thank you for being an Ultra member as well. I see you have a question a couple down, so I will get to that. Larry Daniels, again, Larry Daniels 1. Thank you for being an Ultra member again, and thank you for the 5. Thanks for the Woody icon. Oh, is this the same question? Yeah, it is. It looks like you sent it twice, so I'll see. Is it possible Warde is trying to get Jimmy accountable, and Jimmy got ticked? Looks like that got sent twice, so... but I appreciate it, Larry. If you have another question, throw that in the chat.
Now, Steven, icon, possible icon. Can you do it like a Kool-Aid Man icon or something like that for like people that are there for? Like,
I try to keep it all. I try to keep it Ohio State themed, but we could do. I mean, we could literally make anything into an icon. I mean, we could have
think
a Nevadabuck icon. We could have,
a Nevadabuck,
anything we want. You know.
Stay Puft
Do a
Marshmallow
Ward,
Man.
we could do a Ward Manual icon.
Oh,
We
that's
could
the
do
Job of the Hut, the Job of the Hut one.
Jabba the Hutt. We could do
Job of the Hut with with Harbaugh in the Princess Leia outfit on the chain.
that. See that
Yeah,
now handy
come on,
class. Now we're cooking. I mean,
that's genius.
Ward is a really, really fat dude. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, like, look at that. I mean, come on, man. You got the yellow.
Oh man,
That's really bad. He does have the Apple Watch Ultra though, but he is an ultra big fat dude. He looks like Kingpin from Marvel, except Kingpin was muscular. Stephen Luter, this is a great question. Thank you for the 5. Nevada, are you still bullish on under 9.5 wins for the Cheaters up north? Willing to put my mortgage on it if Nevada blesses off. Well, I think Nevada has pulled his kids all out of college and they're all in community school now, and he's put his mortgage up and he's mortgaged his T-Birds and everything else that he owns on this one, I think. But I'll let you speak to that, Nevada. Do you think that Michigan will win more than 9 games this year?
I've got 2 bets for you guys. That first of all, yeah, Michigan under 9.5 wins is free. That is free money for you, so you can get that free. Ohio State to make the playoff is minus 500. So
wow.
all Ohio State has to do is make the playoff, the 12-team playoff, minus 500. I've seen it somewhere between minus 500. I've seen it as high as minus 600. So somewhere between 20% on your money, 16 and 20% on your money inside in less than a year. So it's probably a cumulative return probably 25% on Ohio. All Ohio State has to do is make the playoff. So
wow.
I'm handing it out to you guys. I'm giving you free money. You can bet that right now. That is a bet you can make right now. You can run your little phone, download your app, and bet that right now. The only downside is that your money's going to be tied up. It's like a bond. Think of it like a bond that's going to pay 20 to 25% on your money. If all Ohio State has to do is qualify for the playoff.
That's a good deal.
That's a good deal.
That's a good deal.
That's the mortgage one. That's the one where you take the mortgage.
It's like, how much can I possibly lay on this one right now? That's like, what do we say? What's the maximum?
Whatever the max bet is
to make the playoffs.
To make the playoffs, yeah.
What was that on? Oh my God!
It's whatever bet online draft. I mean, you got to search around and find it. I don't know, but it is absolutely a prop. That's absolutely the odds, and you can bet that right now. And you realize under the new format, Ohio State would have never not qualified for the playoff, and this could be the best Ohio State team I've ever seen. So it's a combination. I mean, I mean, I guess anything could happen, and you can say, well, Nevada, what if this? Yeah, look, anything could happen, but I think that's about as close to a sure. I mean, that thing should be minus like 50,000.
Yeah, that legitimately should be like minus 5,000.
Yeah, literally. Exactly. And it's minus 500 to 600. That's what it is. That's an actual bet right now, guys. So bet the mortgage. See, Nevada handed out the free money.
And for those of you that aren't like super, like, you don't gamble on everything that moves like Nevada and I do, minus 500 means you have to bet $500 to win $100. So, you got to bet 5,000 to win 1,000 or 10,000 to win, you guys can do the math. But still, it's like free. That's like free money. Because, I mean, there's no way Ohio State's not making a 12-team playoff with the team they have this year. That would be the biggest upset in the history of football, in my opinion. To not be in the top 12 with the schedule we have and the team we have. Because, like, you lose to Oregon and Michigan and still finish in the top 12, in my opinion. As long as they're close. Sure. And again, I can't see us losing to either of them.
You could probably lose to Oregon, Michigan, and Penn State and still make the playoff.
Yeah. Because those teams would be in the playoffs for sure if they beat us. And then, are there 9 other teams better than Ohio State if they're all close games? So again, I don't know. That's crazy. So Yeah, I think that's the one right there. And again, that's a good prop. Shout out Nevada. Buckeye Blitz, thank you for the deuce. When will the 30 for 30 be on these scandals, Nevada OH? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch the 30 for 30s or ESPN. Again, I generally can't stand ESPN. I think they have the worst on-air talent in the history of mankind right now. It's just impossibly bad. But they do some very, very good specials. And I watched the one on Sakic, saving Joe Sakic, and I watched one on Alexander Dagg, who went first overall to the Senators. I mean, they are like spectacular how good they are. So I hope they do a 30 for 30 on these scandals because again, usually like when they do those, they're good. It's funny. The one I was most disappointed in was Youngstown Boys, the one that was Trestle and Maurice. I thought that one could have been a lot better, but it wasn't. The first Canes one was good. The second one stunk. But that's just my opinion. Nevada, when will the 30 for the 30 on these scandals be?
It'll be years. It'll be years. But I've told the story before. We're going to talk 30 for 30. I'm going to just tell you the story. When ESPN was only sports programming, my partner was a guy named Peter Guber, former chairman of Sony, very established entertainment guy. Him, Scott Sternberg, who's a producer, myself, went and met with Len DeLuca at ESPN and pitched them on the idea of doing a series of these 30-minute to 60-minute sports stories. And Peter's pitch to them was, let's put the E for entertainment back in ESPN. And that was the thing. So that was the genesis of the 30 for 30 was a meeting with Len DeLuca way back when ESPN was not doing these things. And now it's kind of their signature item. It's probably the best thing that they do.
Oh, God,
are these 30 for 30s. And, but I remember we pitched to them a 30 for 30 concept, and we pitched to them a sports game show concept, kind of like almost like a sports Jeopardy type of thing.
like Stump and Schwab.
Kind of like that, but it wasn't exactly like that. But it was something that's where Scott Sternberg come in, had been a very successful producer on that stuff. But the 30 for 30 concept really took off and really went there. But yeah, I can say from the moment in time I was there for the genesis of that idea. That's Nevadabuck's way. That's my Wayback Machine. That's the equivalent of you talking about the darn 2005 Notre
Texas
Dame game again
for the 800th time.
For the 500 millionth time or something like that. And we're like, oh my gosh, Kirk, please stop.
Hey, it's the last bowl game I won. You know. So I'm just saying, I lost the next two, so I gotta enjoy one.
And then I ate chicken parm, and then I went there and I drank a beer. And
oh God.
Yeah, but that was Nevada's Wayback Machine. So I need my own Wayback Machine music too. You're like, woo.
You do, I know. Wayback, the Wayback Machine. You know what I'm gonna use for your Wayback Machine music? The theme song from Wild Things. That'll be perfect.
Ooh,
that's what I'll play in the background. That'll be like spicy. Make the hits.
Just make the hits, man. I got it.
Deb, what's up, my girl? I hope you're doing good. Deb Sobel, thank you for the ultra member. Thank you for the 10. Crybaby Sherrone Moore is a marked man. When it all shakes out, Michigan has to get rid of anyone who reminds them of Harbaugh. Nevada OH. I just think Sherrone's the guy that, they're like, hey, somebody's got to stay back and get paid. And again, they gave him an extension. He went from being an O-line coach 2 years ago to being, the head coach. And so his salary went up, tenfold. But I mean, everybody else left. But, somebody had to stay and be the head coach. And it was him. And again, it was to me, it was a cash grab. I mean, I can't blame the guy. I mean, obviously he's a head coach at Michigan. He's like 38 years old. So that's, outstanding for to be that young and to be the head coach at Michigan. But, again, like, what are you going to be the head coach of when all of these sanctions hit and everything really comes out? So it's going to be impressive. But again, I think he is the ultimate empty suit. I really do. I think he's Mark Helfrich, who took over for Chip Kelly. They were good for a year, and then they absolutely fell off a cliff. I think he's Larry Coker. Like they might be decent this year on defense. Offensively, I think they're going to be atrocious. But they're once they get further and further away from Jim Harbaugh, I think that, it's kind of like it's like the book things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Like that's what this is going to be. Like it's going to get further and further away, and it's just going to get, it's just going to come apart because you can ride that Harbaugh stuff for a little bit, but the way everybody left, I don't even know how you're going to be able to do it because most of the coaches that are in the building now, they don't know Jim Harbaugh's culture that he's been preaching for the last 5-6 years. So it's going to be really interesting. Nevada Deb says that Crybaby Sherrone Moore is a marked man. When it all shakes out, Michigan has to get rid of anyone who reminds them of Jim Harbaugh. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think it's such a great point, and I think Sherrone is going to be implicated in this. I think now I don't know what the implications are of having a current coach that's under a show cause continue to be coaching. I just think it means that they're just going to have to experience the penalties and go with it. But he knew. I mean, Sherrone Moore absolutely knew he's going to be implicated in this thing. I've been told that, and so I think the excuse that they'll have for getting rid of him is going to be his poor performance. But I think Deb's exactly right. Everything from the Jim Harbaugh era is going to have to be kind of exercised from the program. And, he already kind of did that by taking 90% of the staff. So there's not that much left, but whatever's left is going to get thrown out when Sherrone Moore inevitably gets fired in the next few years, which is absolutely going to happen.
Totally agree. All right. Precinct. I think this is Precinct PR3CT. So I think it's Precinct. So if it's something else, put it in the chat how you want me to pronounce that. Super chat for the 10. If Burke Carton ever writes a tell-all book, will the old 7 Deuce ever get another job? I assume that means TJ. It depends on how much I feel like telling, honestly. But honestly, like TJ shouldn't be the one that would be scared. I mean, I got a lot of people I could bury, and a lot of your favorite folks would be out of work really quick. A lot of the people that are fawned over by some people they'd get smoked. And again, it would all be truth. Like I wouldn't even have to. There would be no exaggeration. There'd be no. I'd just tell the truth. And again, a lot of perceptions would change. And again, I haven't always been given that benefit. And, I don't forget. So there's a lot of people that would get smoked if I ever decided to act like some of these morons have. And a lot of them know who they are. And they'd be scared to death if I did that. They'd be out of work and their perceptions would be radically changed. And again, but that's just not my MO. I don't live like that. Again, for me, it's not about acting like clowns like a lot of these guys do. It's just about success, and you look at our numbers and where we're at, and I'm very proud of what we do. I'm proud of all of you guys being on here and the community that we've built. But again, if I went that route, I mean, there'd be people cleaning their offices out in certain buildings in the middle of campus, and it wouldn't be pretty. But just my opinion. Nevada, if old Burke Carton ever writes a tell-all book with 70s, which is TJ would be the least of my problems. I mean, TJ's TJ. Everybody knows TJ. I love TJ. He was a great player at Ohio State. Did a great job backing me up my freshman year when he was a sophomore. Again, TJ was TJ. He was a really good guard next to me. Wasn't athletic enough to play tackle, but it's fine. We can't all be athletes. So, but your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, TJ's like you said, you've got your list. It's kind of like Arya Stark, who had her list of everybody she was going to kill. You've got your list, but no, TJ's definitely not on the list. TJ's you like TJ. You don't even like TJ. You love TJ. TJ's like your brother, man. He's like your younger, or I should say older, younger, less athletic brother that you had that played at Ohio State with you. But he's part of the way back.
It's like Fredo and Michael and The Godfather. It's kind of what it is.
Exactly.
There's a younger one and there's the older one. So it's like one of those things. And again, and I love TJ, but I mean, Michael loved Fredo too until he had to kill him. So
had to kill him. I mean, had to go. Yeah.
But I love TJ. I hope that when you guys play this for him, because TJ, he's doing this thing, and I'll tell you what. The one thing about TJ is like, you never knew where he was at from Sunday night to Friday night, but you knew where he'd be on Saturday afternoons when we were playing. Because the rest of the time, I didn't care what he did, and I didn't want to know what he was doing. But on Saturdays when it was game time, man, he always showed up. He was never because some guys are roller coasters on the field, but he was consistently there, consistently played well. Again, like, I mean, I'm talking about a guy that, in 06, he was a second team All-American, which, again, you don't get a treat for being second team All-American. I always remind him of that. You have to be first team All-American, which thankfully I was able to get one for the two of us, but I don't share it with him. But I do love TJ. Black Pyro, thank you for the 5. Where does Nevadabuck find these bets? What site? Thanks, Nevada OH. Nevada has on his Jitterbug phone. I think he has my phone number saved, and he has like 85 betting apps. I think that's all he has.
That is true.
That's all he has. It's like, I don't know which one of the 700 apps he has on there. What he's like, I've got Bet Online and Bet Mars and Bet Virgin Islands and FanDuel.
Yeah,
and
I'll find out
ESPN.
exactly. I'll find out exactly what. But Kirk is more. It's true. I've got like 911, Kirk Barton, and 700 betting apps on things. But because we're scanning constantly for the best odds on stuff. Because you'd be amazed how much the odds vary on stuff. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it can be as much as like 100 basis points on stuff. So we're just constantly scanning stuff on there and checking things out. You know what I'm talking about. But some have the best incentives and some. It's like shopping, man. So, but yeah, I'll find out where that is. But that is absolutely a prop that you can bet today. So, but I'll find out which bet it would. I'll ask Funky.
I was doing that the other day when I was fading Caitlin Clark because I've bet against her. I'm not going to do it tonight, but like when they're playing good teams, man, the teams that she's on is terrible. Now they almost beat a good team. It's like the odds were varied like dramatically between Bet ESPN, FanDuel, DraftKings. Like I was like, this is crazy. So I gotta like move my money around to get to the one that's got the good odds. I'm like, but again, like her team is terrible. Now I'm not advocating doing this because I watched that game the other night, and for one, the WNBA is the most boring thing, and it's the worst. It's the most awful like thing I've ever watched in my life. I was like, I can't ever bet on this again. But for two, they're trying to give her some wins. So these officials, man, were just absolutely terrible. And she is not America's sweetheart. Like she told the one referee to call the effing foul, and the ref teed her right up. So these refs are gonna get sick of her stuff. So it'll be interesting. I think that she gets a win tonight because the team she's playing is not very good, but I've been fading her because like the odds are like so tight. Like there's teams that are way better than her team, but everyone bets on this chick. So the odds are like, they're way closer than this, in my opinion. Now again, I could be wrong, but I was like, wow, that's really tight for a team that's just, I mean, she's on like the 99 Browns of the WNBA at this point. So, all right. ZZM, thank you for the 5. If the thank you for being an ultra member as well. If the Hammer waits until 2025, can Scum stay relevant with the coaching staff? Do they have anyone decent on staff ignored by their fans? Well, Wink Martindale is by far the biggest name. He's the highest paid DC in college football, I believe. But I just can't see him sticking around through this. I mean, he's an NFL guy through and through. And, dude, NFL guys don't want to deal with these kids. And they don't want to deal with recruiting. And they don't want to deal with all the garbage they have to deal with. So I don't think so, to be honest with you. But again, I could be wrong. But Nevada, is that how you see it?
Look, winning in college football isn't easy. And, you talk about all those places that were going good. They went to the next guy. You just figure, hey, let's just give it to the next guy. He'll keep it on, cruise control, just change the names, and it'll just go on. And no, it doesn't work that way. And so I look at Michigan staff, and I think it's a mess. I think you've got a head coach with absolutely no experience that's never done this before, barely credible as even a play caller. And I just think it's going to be a disaster. I think it's been, on top of that, the recruiting has been, last year was the perfect storm because of all the upperclassmen, all the 4th, 5th, and 6th year guys that they had, but they lost a ton due to the natural attrition of people aging out, the draft, et cetera, et cetera. And there's not there's no hope on the horizon. It's not like they got the bump from the national championship and they've been pulling in the 5 stars. They're recruiting. I think they're like 36 in the country right now in recruiting. I mean, it's terrible. So you've got, like I said, you've got 4 players on their team right now. The 2 defensive linemen, Will Johnson, and the tight end, and then those guys are all gone next year. And after that, there is nothing. The cupboard is completely bare. So now it's lean years ahead, and it's going to be basically back to where they were. They're going to be back to where they were pre-cheating, which is the COVID year. They went 2-4 and had to tap out of the game against Ohio State. So that's kind of where they're going to be back at. I'm seeing a lot of 6-7, 7-6, maybe peak at 8-4 when they have a good year type of seasons ahead of them, and that's not going to be good enough for Michigan.
Totally agree. Jim Jackson, our resident Seminole, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. What's up, Kirk? Did we ever recruit Arch Manning? I don't seem to remember hearing his name in the fold. Nevada OH. Arch, I'm sure we recruited him, but I don't think we ever really had a shot at him. So, you don't want to spin your tires in recruiting and waste your time recruiting a kid. I mean, that kid's got SEC all over him based on his prestige, and obviously. He went to Texas. He's in the perfect situation to sit behind Quinn for another year and then take over the starting role. And I think it worked out swimmingly. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's in a great spot. And but I don't think he ever seriously considered Ohio State. Never visited Ohio State. I mean, that's an SEC family, Southern family. Like that would have been insane for him to come up north. He landed a good spot at Texas with Sark. I think that's a great spot for him. So. Nevada, I don't think we ever recruited Arch Manning, correct?
Yeah, I mean, not in any meaningful way. Yeah, like you said, that everybody in the world knew he was going to head down south somewhere. Just a question of where. But I mean, other than maybe a call or kicking the tires, no, there was never any serious recruiting effort on Arch Manning.
Yeah, that's like I said, it's better to get. It's like in sales, it's better to get a quick no, and I don't think we were ever really in that one. So. But he's got a bright future. Poohbeard 12, thank you for the 10. Thank you for being an Ultra member as well. 2 for 7, updated ranks. Tavion at St. Clair, number 2 overall. We may sign all the players, 2 through 6. Carter Lowe just misses 5-star. Vanell Brown rocket ship up 130 spots. PSF Ward's fired. He's got a job on the OSU beat. Poohbeard, I love you. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you for being an Ultra member as well. But that is absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I mean, they get those extended wide chairs and they got the deli stations all set up, so that'd be perfect for him. Nevada, your thought on Warde Manuel joining the OSU beat?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a perfect thing. I mean, again, we've described it as like the Star Wars convention. If you've ever been to like Comic-Con or any of those things, something like that, that's what the OSU beat is like. And when you see the pictures you're just like, oh my gosh, that's the most unhealthy group of people that I've ever seen in one place. And like you'd have like a Deadpool, but like they'd all tie for first. So I'm not sure which one's going to drop first, but it's going to be like, I mean, it's just bad, just so bad.
Oh my God, I love it so much. D Sunny, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. If a high school level coach shouldn't get along with president or AD, who at the university would they try to align with to be protected? If a high level coach shouldn't, donors, rich donors, because those are the guys that really run the show. I mean, as much as we talk about the AD and the president, like the guys that have the money are the guys that run the show. So I'd align with the donors, and away we go. I think that's the only way really to do it. Nevada, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, donors, board of trustees. You can. I mean, that can give you some protection. And then you try to churn those guys and poison the well against the AD and the president. But in Michigan's case, the only thing that saved Ono's job was the fact that they won the national championship. Had they lost, the Michigan Crazies he'd have been gone now too. So it would have been a complete and total burn down. But now it's just going to be kind of a slow burn down as Harbaugh's torching Manuel. But eventually Ono will get his too, because he was working behind the scenes against Harbaugh as well. Just again, publicly supporting him, privately stabbing him in the back, and that'll eventually come out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan, thanks for the deuce. Have you listened to the Jim Trestle podcast? I have. I think he's done a great job. I talked to him yesterday about it. He just finished. He wrapped. He's got Nate Ebner. He already wrapped him. He's got a woman who was an ROTC student at Ohio State who rose to be a 4-star general the only one in history to be an ROTC student to rise to be the rank of a 4-star general. So that one will be real interesting. He's doing it. I think the Youngstown Business Journal asked him if he'd do it, and he gave him a little, like a 6-month commitment. See how it'll go. Obviously he's got some big hitters off the jump with AJ and with Ryan Day and whatever. And I mean, he's doing it. It's fun, and it gives him something to do. He's retired now, and he's around the Woody. He's helping Ryan Day a little bit, just kind of mentoring him a little bit, which I think is really, really, really smart of Ryan to reach out to Tress, because not many guys. I mean, the only guys alive that have sat in that seat are Coop, obviously, Urban, and Tress. So you gotta, and obviously Luke for the 1 year. But Luke's not going to be helping Ryan with he's at Wisconsin. But I think that's it's prudent to get into that. Nevada, have you listened to the Jim Trestle podcast at all?
I have, and it's good stuff. Like I said, I mean, Trestle's just such a wise old bird, and listen to him. And to your point about Ryan, I think he's helping Ryan even probably more than a little. I think he's helping Ryan a lot. Ryan's really reached out to him, and I love the fact that Ryan Day is doing that. Ryan Day continues to impress me with the moves that he's made this offseason, and that may be one of his underrated best ones, is getting Jim Trestle more involved with him and more involved with the program, which I think is genius.
Totally agree. Luke, nicely, thank you for the deuce. Thanks to Scum fans. Takes to Scum fan thinking nothing is coming. Nevada OH. Yeah, I don't know what to say to the Michigan people that don't think something is coming. If I was a Michigan fan, and Nevada always claims I'm a Michigan fan, and I saw what happened and like what the precedence is for the NCAA and who's involved, like, honestly, like Michigan is kind of like they're like Diddy. It'd be like if people are saying, "Oh, nothing's gonna happen to Diddy or Puff Daddy or whatever you want to call him," and the feds raid his house. The video of him beating a woman comes out. Everyone's turning on him. He lost the key to New York City. But, Michigan fans would be like, oh, nothing's going to happen to Diddy. And I'm like, well, the feds raided his house, and, and they're obviously going to be bringing charges on him for all this heinous stuff he's been doing. So that's kind of the same thing, in my opinion. You could have you could get hit in the face. Michigan fans get hit in the face with a skunk 1,000 times and they still don't really smell it. And again, that's just an IQ quiz at this point. When you don't smell it at this point, then we can't do anything to save you. Nevada, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's, like I said, they're in denial. It's the stages of grief. You know what I'm saying? They'll get through it. They'll anger, bargaining. And we're gonna get through all the stages with the Michigan fans. But right now they're in denial about what's coming. But it's coming, and we can all see it, and they'll be the last to know.
Totally agree. Well, Nevada, we could wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
No, just a great day. We didn't even get to the James Franklin stuff. Maybe we'll save that for tomorrow. Just more wonderment up there in Penn State. And just thank everybody for being here tonight. Just love these shows. And if you want to do us a little bitty favor, give us a like on the way out. And don't forget, we're having in the middle of a scoop gear drop, repthescoop.com. Big gear drop right now. Stuff is flying off the shelves. We are just getting inundated with orders. So if you want to order, repthescoop.com. Great stuff for Father's Day, and it will all be shipped and arrive before Father's Day.
Yep, and the link is in the bio. So as always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for kicking with us tonight. As always, great show. It's a huge show because you guys make it one. Thank you for all of the wonderful super chats that's going to our Pay It Forward fund. So we can sign up members to BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys have not joined BuckeyeScoop.com, 24 hours a day, it's where we're kicking it. It is awesome. It's a blast. We love being on our message board. A lot of you guys love this chat. It's basically like having the chat on 24 hours a day. So I would highly suggest you guys try it for a month. If you guys don't like it, cancel it. You'd be out $12.99, which is about as much as a chalupa at this point. But I'm just saying, you guys love BuckeyeScoop.com. As always, thank you guys so much for all that you guys do. Another huge show because you guys made it one. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, those are huge for us for growing this channel. Spread the good word. Post this on Facebook. Post it on Twitter. Any of your social medias. Again, every little bit helps for growing the channel. and exposing us to the best Ohio State fans in all of the land. So we appreciate you guys so very much. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. Again, we love you guys. We appreciate all you guys do in the community that you guys have grown here. So thank you as always. That being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow, 7 p.m. We'll be ready to rock. We will see you then. Go Bucks.